What's up, guys? So we got a question from Adrian, who says he's watched several of my videos where I talk about how to deal with big, strong guys. He says that he is a big, strong guy, and he says that one of the things that he runs into as a bigger, stronger guy who's 200 plus pounds is that people will often make the, quote, "man, you're so strong" excuse, right? If you're a big guy, you've run into that before. And he says that, he gets it sometimes from lower belts, and the funny thing is with lower belts, he kind of plays down. He doesn't go full speed. And then when he rolls with fellow black belts, when you're rolling with someone of similar skill level, right, you have to push the pace a little bit because you don't have the luxury of being relaxed because they're good. And so he has to use those physical attributes that he has to hang in there. And when he rolls with these fellow black belts afterwards, he'll get that same sort of comment about, "oh, you're just strong." And so he's wondering, how do you handle these comments without looking annoyed? And what do you tell him? Like, what do you do after that? So Adrian, thanks for the question. And as a fellow big, strong guy who's been 200 plus pounds for pretty much like my whole adult life, I've run into that situation plenty of times. Now, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes guys have a good humor with it. Like I was down in, I keep saying Brazil, down in Florida with Renato Tavares and some of the guys there, and some of them were Brazilian. That's why I wanted to say that. And there was this one guy, Joel, again, a Brazilian guy. We were rolling, and after the roll, he's a fellow black belt. We've done rolling, and he looks at me, he goes, "Man, you're so strong," right? Like talking about my strength, and I'm just like, whatever. And then he looks at me, kind of cocks his head, and he says, "Brucatua." And I'm like, "Brucatua? What the hell does that mean?" Like, Brucatua. And then he yells some Portuguese over to Renato and some of the other Brazilian guys, and they're speaking Portuguese. And I hear him say, "Brucatua," and they're all laughing. I'm like, what are these guys talking about? So one of the guys comes up, and I think it was Igor, he comes up and shows me this picture of this cartoon character caveman. And he goes, "This is what he's talking about." And I start laughing because basically he was just calling me a big old caveman. We had a laugh about it for the rest of the week that I was down there training. He would yell, "Brucatua," that kind of stuff. We're having a good time with it. So sometimes it's fun. It's the same way that maybe you get a guy that's really flexible, you call him Gumby, right? It's not to detract from them, but just to make light of, because we all have certain attributes that are different than others, right? Other people's. Now, sometimes it's a negative thing though, and I've run into that plenty of times where I roll with someone and they'll want to make an excuse like, "oh man, you're really strong." They don't say it necessarily directly, but passive aggressively, right? Like, "you're strong and that's the only reason you beat me." But sometimes I've had, the only reason you got that one move was because you were strong, which I hate that excuse, because when you play the blame game, you're missing one of the most valuable lessons jiu-jitsu and combat sports have to offer, which I'll talk about in a second. But also, if we want to get in the blame game, so you're blaming me for being stronger than you, right? And that's the only reason I won. Well, do I get to blame you when you beat me for anything, right? Okay, you beat me. Well, maybe you're more technical than me. Maybe you have more experience than me. Maybe you're faster. Maybe you have better cardio. Maybe you have long legs. I don't know. We can, when you want to blame someone for something instead of taking personal responsibility, you can find a reason to blame someone. And so I hate that excuse. I hate people blaming anyone for anything. Just take responsibility for it, right? And so when you're talking about jiu-jitsu, I was talking to my kids yesterday about this, my competitors, right? My young kids, right? And afterwards, during the class, some of them were slacking. And when I was talking to them, I said, "Guys, listen, the way you do the little things is the way that you do everything. So you might as well do everything good and push yourself every time, no matter what, right? You're only here for a short amount of time. Push yourself the whole time." And I was asking them, I said, when you're out there on the podium, when you win, right? When you win first place and you get that gold medal, who stands up there with you on the top of the podium? And one of the kids they're looking around, and one of the kids looks at me and goes, "No one?" I said, "That's right." And then I look at one of the other kids and I say, "Okay." And then who's out there when you lose? Right? Like when you lose a match, who else is out there with you? And again, they're all kind of looking around as if it's like a trick question. And then the kid I was looking at, he goes, "No one?" I said, "Exactly, right? You win if you put all the work in, you hustle, you push yourself, you grind away and really push yourself day in, day out, you get the results. You get the reward for that, right? Consequence. That's the result. That's the fruit of your labor. You get that. That's yours. And if you don't put in the work and you slack and you don't push yourself and you don't go through the uncomfortable parts, well, then you lose and you get the fruits of your labor. So what do you want? You want to win or you want to lose? Right? Of course, you want to win, so you're going to push yourself. And that's personal responsibility, because you can't control what's going on with someone else, right? But you can control what's going on with you. And that's why I think that's such a really insidious thing to do, because anytime you start playing that blame game, instead of asking yourself, how can I benefit from this difficulty? This is a problem that they have. How can I get better from that? You're just playing the blame game, boom, pass that off and move along. You never really address it. You never address it. Instead of saying, "Hey, there's something wrong with my game. I need to fix this. I have problems rolling with people that are like this. I need to fix this. I need to find out why not. Maybe I'll talk to coach. Maybe I'll roll with that person more until I figure it out." And so, Adrian, in those situations for me personally, when someone says, "Hey, you're strong, that's the only reason you beat me," that kind of negativity stuff, I smile, because I value being strong. I value being in shape. I don't want to be a fat jiu-jitsu coach. I want to be in shape. I want to be fit. I like, that's the stuff I like. I'm a meathead, right? And so when someone says that, I just look at them and smile, say thank you. I appreciate that. And then I don't care if they mean it positively or negatively. I just say thank you, right? And move along. And I think that you should do the same, because understand that negativity that they're spewing on you, don't even let that take root, because that's on them. That's their problem. The only reason they're doing that is because they don't like the fact that their game was not able to deal with your strength adequately. So instead of looking back at themselves, which is what they should be doing, they just want to pass the blame because it's easier. So that negativity, that's on them. Let them deal with that. You just smile and say, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm pretty strong, so I appreciate that. And that's what I would do. And for anyone that's watching this or listening to this, right? If you get that inclination when you're rolling to like coming up through you and you're getting frustrated and you want to pass blame at someone, just stop. Because it's not a resourceful way to go about training. It's not useful. You're getting in your way, because again, with all those difficulties, there's always an opportunity if you can find it. And you don't have control over someone else, but what you do have control of is you. So it would be better for you to focus on what you can do differently next time, or what you can do to improve against that. Maybe you can find a technique that works against it. Maybe you can get stronger yourself. I don't know. But find a way to deal with it and do that instead of focusing on passing the blame to someone else. It's not the best way to train. So don't do that. Again, we all make mistakes. We've all probably blamed someone for something, but don't do it, right? So anyway, Adrian, hope that helps, brother. Thank you for the question.